Hey friends, welcome to the Creative Business Mindset. This is your backstage pass to the realities of turning your passion into profit. My name is Joke. I'll be your host. I'm a busy mom of 3, navigating the twists and turns of life and business. You'll get the good, the bad, and the glorious mess of starting afraid, the determination to keep going no matter what. Everyone knows you for that one thing. You know what I'm talking about. It's the thing that comes so naturally to you that you're happy to do it for free. That was me until I made 6 figures in my first year as a home stager. I've made so many mistakes so you don't have to. If this Nigerian girl can do it, you, my friend, can do it too. Let's go. Today, we have an incredibly inspiring guest joining us all the way from Munich, Germany, Anne Alexander Cedar. Anne has an extraordinary story of reinvention and resilience. After 16 years hiatus from acting in the US, she successfully relaunched her career at 47 in Germany and has worked with big production companies including Netflix and Hallmark Channel to name a few. She now uses her experience to help aspiring actors pursue their dreams in the entertainment industries and working with them to land better roles. Anne is living proof that dreams don't have expiration dates. And today she's here to share her story and insights with us. Welcome, Anne, and thank you for joining us. Let's start at the beginning of your journey after such a long break from acting. What inspired you to relaunch your career?
Oh, okay. Well, first of all, thank you so much for having me on your podcast. I'm super excited to be here. So maybe I should back up just a little bit. I moved to Germany for love. As you can tell from my accent, I'm an American. You can take the girl out of America, but you can't take the American out of the girl. And I moved here for love about 29 years ago. And I was a professional actor in America. I had my SAG-AFTRA card and I was working on my equity card, making enough money that I didn't have to have a side hustle, even had my health insurance paid for by SAG, which is a pretty big deal. And I was pretty happy. But then life threw me this curveball in the shape of a hot German guy. And I ended up in Munich, Germany, of all places. Literally the last place I ever thought I would end up on earth. And initially, I didn't see how to make a career here because I didn't speak German. Kind of have to speak the language to be able to act. And then I got pregnant right away and we started to have a family. And I was very much wrapped up in that. And I would say when my son was about 2, I started to look for other opportunities and I got very heavy into voiceover, which led to presenting, which led to commercial work. But it was, even though it was acting adjacent, it wasn't acting. It wasn't the kind of creativity that like set my soul on fire or anything. Mm-hmm. So when my son was about 16 years old, we had a standing movie date. And he came to me the Thursday before we were going to go out. We were going to go out that Friday and said, "Mom, I don't want to hang out with you anymore on the weekends. So do you mind if we just skip this?" I know. But, what are you going to do? And so this gets to answering your question. I think what sparked everything was, like so many of us do, I had put my dreams on hold. I had put everything on the back burner and put my family on the front burner. And I think whether you're a man or a woman, you can relate to this. And maybe it's not your kids, but maybe it was your career. And you get to this point where all of a sudden something happens in your life and you realize, oh my gosh, who am I anymore? What do I want? And that's what happened. And that was when I sat down and on a whim, I Googled acting workshop Munich English and one popped up. It was like the universe just kind of opened up and there was one spot open, which was not a normal thing. And I whipped out my credit card. I took that last spot and it changed my life because I came home 3 days later knowing that I have been trying to breathe outside of my element for 16 years and I needed to relaunch my acting career. So that left me with my very first obstacle, which was I hadn't really acted in 16 years. So I was really rusty, and acting is like any kind of a skill. You have to practice it if you want to stay good, if you want to stay sharp, if you want to be confident. I believe that the obstacle, the challenge, the problem always also holds the answer if you know which questions to ask. And so I started asking questions. Okay, what is the actual problem? What can I do about it? The problem was I didn't have training. So the first thing that came to me was, well, okay. And I wanted the training in English because I didn't want to add the extra layer of complication by trying to, get my acting training in German. So that meant I needed to fly to London, to New York, to LA, Chicago, whatever, and get the training at the high caliber that I wanted in English. But obviously that would have been really expensive, not only monetarily, but also time-wise. And even though my son didn't want to hang out with me anymore, I was still a mom. I was still having to make him breakfast, get him off to school, make sure he did his homework, all those kind of things. So that presented the second challenge. And again, the challenge always holds the answer if you ask the right questions, right? And so the answer was I needed to find a way to get the training here in Munich at the level I wanted without breaking the bank and on my time schedule. And so I started reaching out to these amazing coaches in all of these different places I mentioned and asking, what's it going to take to get you over here? And I sat down with a pen and paper after that and figured it out. My only goal, Joke, was to get the training at the same price that I would pay if the training was already in Munich. So once I figured in the hotels and the flights and the this and that, if I could just get the training for that same price, I was going to be happy. But what ended up happening was I got free training. I was earning between $1,000 and $2,000 a workshop, and I was building a community. And it was kind of mind-boggling. That's kind of like what I call phase one to understanding the power of curating your curriculum around your passions. I think what holds a lot of people back from, they get to that point in their life where it's like, it's too late now. Now what am I supposed to do? And they just kind of let it go. They let it slip away. And I think there are a couple of things that hold people back. One of them is they feel like, well, who am I to be starting now? What will people think of me if I do this now? And they also don't see a way to turn it into anything more than just a little hobby. And if you're like me, your creativity is such a huge part of who you are that it is so much more, it has to be so much more than just a hobby. What I realized was in embracing this kind of mindset, even though I had been a professional actor, I was still embracing it kind of from the mindset of starting from scratch, of being a beginner. I wanted that feedback. I needed the critique in order to get better. When you approach it from that point of view, you don't have to deal with imposter syndrome. It's not like fake it until you make it, which I think honestly is what a lot of people do. They have an interest, maybe they are deeply into their hobby, but it hasn't yet come to the level where they are a professional in whatever it is that their passion is. And yet they want more from it. So they decide they're going to become a coach. Because a lot of us have been told, well, don't worry about it. You only need to be 2 steps ahead of everybody anyway. But when you're only 2 steps ahead of people, you're always like looking over your shoulder. Like, oh my God, are they going to catch up to me? And the other thing that it blocks you from doing is just saying, I don't know, when somebody asks you a question. Because immediately that imposter syndrome starts coming up and it's like, you need to know, you can't show them you don't know. You can't say you don't have the answer. And I think this also brings us to another thing. As adults, it can be kind of hard to create grown-up relationships, grown-up friendships, especially if we're sort of immersed in our life, we have our work, we have our family, maybe we have a handful of friends, but it's kind of hard to make new friends who share your interest. And so this is also another way to curate those friendships, to create those friendships, because it's not about initially, do you want to be my friend? It's really about, we share the same interests. Let's go paint a picture together, or, learn about interior design together.
You were talking about how you started all over again and how a lot of people hold themselves back because they think, I'm done now. Maybe I'm like 40, like as if 40 is like something over the moon. I can relate to all of this because I'm a mom. I have three kids. And I actually started my home staging business close to the age of 50. I think I was like 46 when I started my homestay. And it's something that I had also sat on the idea for a very, very long time, not knowing how to start. I think there's a real mind shift, a clarity problem that a lot of people have. There's so many things competing, especially for the multi-talented. I recorded a script about this recently. Like, how do I even move forward? It's the fear of the unknown, the judgment, like you talked about, and just even not finding the clarity of the how. But you, in the middle of all the challenges you were experiencing, that's where you actually extracted all the answers from. So talk more about that. I'd like to hear more about that.
Yeah. So I think one of the biggest problems is somebody will see a mountain in front of the range of the Alps. They get so overwhelmed. Yeah. So I think that the problem is that people don't break things down, to be very honest. So instead of just taking it one small step at a time, they feel like they've got to tackle the whole mountain all at once. And then they see the mountain, and behind that, they see the whole Alps, right? And they think, oh my God, the Alps, and how am I supposed to climb all that? Instead of just putting on your shoes and putting one foot in front of the other. Yes, my ultimate goal, we're going to make it happen one way or another. But you know what? I get it. There are a lot of people out there that want a little bit more of a helping hand. They want someone to show them how to do it, or at least just the first time. Right? Because once you've done something once, it's like this beautiful flywheel, right? It creates the intention, which creates the confidence, which creates the action, which creates the result. And pretty soon you are living the life of that person you wanted to be. But you have got to begin by taking those small steps. And I would say part of it is also like leaning into the fear. The fear is telling you when you are stretching yourself, when you are entering a growth phase in your life. And that's scary. And I get it.
It is.
But you just have to kind of get to a point. Like when I was a young woman, I used to think that, oh, well, when I'm a grown up, all that, I'm not going to be afraid of anything. But you realize when you get here, it's like, no, fear never goes away. You just kind of learn to live with it. And, I also have learned not to see fear as my enemy anymore. Now I kind of look at it like a helicopter mom. It's just trying to keep me safe. It's not trying to sabotage me. It's not trying to kill my dreams. It just wants me to stay where it knows I'm safe. And so I try and acknowledge that. And also at the same time, say, look, whatever happens, I'm going to be okay. So if I fall flat on my face, I'm still going to be okay. I'm going to get up and I'm going to try again, and just let me do my thing.
Yes, doing it afraid. That is my mantra for anything. When I started, I was afraid. Today, I'm still afraid of the next step. Anytime I'm about to move forward and do something new or bigger or improve, it scares me. Is it going to work? Do I even know what I'm doing? But unless you take that leap, you're never going to know. There's another thing that I see that hold people back. It's the imposter syndrome. And we all get it. And I know that you have that Passion Project Pro. How does that help people get over that imposter syndrome of feeling like a fraud? How do you apply? How do you help people apply that to anything that they want to do to move forward?
So imposter syndrome happens in a couple of places in our lives. It happens when we're stretching ourselves into new situations, new people, where we feel like we haven't quite attained what we want other people to think we have attained. So I believe in embracing that beginner's mindset. Embrace where you are. Like, don't lie about it. It's as simple as that. You know, when I returned to acting, I was a professional actor 16 years prior to that, but I was rusty. And even though I was bringing in these super high caliber coaches, and I did have a baseline, like I didn't want a bunch of beginning actors in the workshop with me. I wanted other professional actors because I wanted to stretch to them, but I didn't have to pretend to be better than I was. I was like, look, I haven't done this in 16 years. I'm rusty. This is why I'm doing this. And I think when you approach things from a beginner's mindset, it does a couple of things for you. One, it allows you to learn. So when you are pretending, like, for instance, so many people think that the only way to monetize their passion is either by doing it. So either you're making money as an interior decorator, as an actor, as a, whatever that thing is, or you're teaching it. And this allows you to learn and make money from the learning part of it, which you're paying to do anyway as a creative person. We're always trying to get better. We're always, learning about new techniques, new skills, new products, new whatever it is, and trying them out. And so it's a way for you to keep getting better in what you want to be good at and not have to say, I know, because I know slams the door on learning. So that's a big part of it.
So the growth mindset, knowing that, I'm embracing it. I'm starting something new. I'm not an expert in it. And that's why I have a problem with that phrase, fake it till you make it.
Me too. I hate it.
What is the point of that? It dehumanizes us from being like real. Because I am all about, this is the real stuff. This is the real deal. This is what it takes. And we're not sugarcoating it. We're not, slapping butter on something and just making it pretty. And we just want you to understand that you're going to have a beginning. And it's okay. Everybody starts from somewhere. So I like that. You had a problem of reinventing and restarting yourself. And not only did you do that for yourself, you extended it. And now it became a passion project where you're helping other people do the same. Tell us more about that.
So after I finished my 1.5 years of bringing coaches to Munich, where I was literally working out anywhere from 3 to 8 hours a day, 6 days a week, 5 to 6 days a week, for 1.5 years, when I felt like my skills were good again, had kind of clicked back into place, then I put it aside. I had no interest in curating coaches, creating workshops, organizing workshops. I just wanted to act. So I relaunched my career. I started doing everything that I had done when I was younger. The world does not react to a 50-year-old woman. At this point, I'm close to 50 when I relaunched. Now I'm 58. So the world does not react to a 50-year-old woman the same way it reacts to a 25-year-old woman. And that was part of it. Another part of it was just trying to figure out, who am I now as an actor? What am I? All of this. And the third thing was, honestly, I 100% believe in my talent, but I got a lot of lucky breaks when I was a young woman through people I knew, through relationships, those kind of things that were not repeatable. In other words, I had no strategy. And so I very quickly realized that I needed to develop some sort of a strategy if I was going to succeed in this creative industry. And creative industries, just like every other industry, are a business. And I think as a young woman, I wanted to stay far away from it. Was like, no, I'm a creative. I don't need to know about business. But as a grown up, as an adult, I realized, maybe, but if I want to hurry this thing along, and I think when you get to that midpoint in your life, like around 50, you realize time is finite. You realize this ride is going to end sometime. And you don't want to waste it, or at least I certainly didn't want to waste it, by all this trial and error, by floundering, by floating around like a leaf blowing in the wind. And so the first thing I realized was I had some limiting beliefs around my age and around my lack of perfect German. So in order to get over those limiting beliefs, I decided to become a life and career coach, but with no intention of coaching initially, really just to get over my limiting beliefs. But the interesting thing was, it taught me, it was like an epiphany. It taught me immediately, because it worked. If I can adopt somebody else's framework and strategies, I just condense my own timeline. Okay, so what else don't I know? And then I started looking around. Okay, I don't know about branding. I don't know about networking. I don't know about market. I don't know about all of these business things. And I didn't even know about business. So I got a business coach and I started to learn about branding, marketing, networking. And I realized about a year into this that I had a branding problem because I wasn't getting the roles that I knew I could play and that I deserved. And so I needed to realign my branding to be more on point with who I am and what I bring to the table, instead of just letting the industry make their own opinion. So that's what I did. I started to do that. It was working. I was getting much better auditions, much better castings, much better bookings. And that's when other actors started to ask me, well, what are you doing? How'd you get that? Who do you know? What happened? Well, why'd you go from this to that? And that's when I started to coach other actors. And that became my first signature program, which is Get Better Roles, where I help trained actors who've been in the business for at least a couple of years, but even though they're doing all the right things, maybe they have an agent, they're on the casting director's radar, they're still not getting the opportunity to audition for the kind of roles that they know that they can do. So I help them to get those kinds of opportunities for themselves by honing in onto their brand, helping them to figure out what it is that makes them stand out from the crowd, then infusing that into their marketing and using it kind of as a North Star to guide them in their networking as well. And of course, there's also a step-by-step process, because for me, what I realized was there are 5 pillars to a thriving acting career. And frankly, any career where you are the brand. And as an actor, you are definitely the brand. But I think a lot of people can relate to this. They feel like they are the brand. So it's mindset, because mindset is 80% of everything. The other 20% is just mechanics and mentorship.
Absolutely.
So mindset, branding, marketing, networking, and community. There's a good order for this. You need to get your mindset in the right place first. And then you move into branding, understanding what it is that you want, what it is that drives you, where it is you want to go, what it is that makes you unique. And that makes your marketing and networking a piece of cake. So those are the 2 biggest pieces, but they all work together holistically. It's not like you can take one pillar out and it's like, then all of a sudden you've got things on uneven ground. So they need to all be strong and standing, but they begin really with mindset and branding.
I love all of that because these are a lot of creative people. And I think that we are all creative minded because we solve problems. We have this creativity and we get caught up in the passion of what we do. Like you said, when you were young, everything was working. Oh, I don't need this. I don't need that. And we think that it's all about our passion. It's all internal. But how do you serve that up as a service, as a business? that other
Yeah.
people can consume. It takes
Yes.
a lot to get to that point, and you realize that, and you started to now create a path for yourself from where you were just being a creative person, an amazing actor with great talent, to now, okay, I need to monetize this. I need to get this to where I can now start getting roles and making money. And you knew all the things that you needed to do: branding, marketing, getting your mindset right.
Well, let me say, I was getting cast, but they weren't in the roles that I wanted.
Yeah. Just improving yourself to get where you need to be. And it takes courage to do that, knowing that, instead of just sitting in like, oh, at least I'm getting this role, or at least I'm getting that, but I know that I can do better. It takes a mindset, a certain mindset for you to know that where you are right now, you can do better. And that is the growth mindset. And I got to a point in my own business where I felt stuck. I think I was like approaching my second year in the home staging business. And I was making money. I was doing all these things. But there's just that heavy feeling of there is more that I can do with this. And I didn't even know what it was. I didn't know where I wanted to go or how to get there. So I found myself a coach, a business coach that helped me to figure out that. And I have like different coaches in my life. I have mindset coach, spiritual coach. Everybody needs one of something, because we are not in ourselves enough to know exactly what we need. If we haven't walked that path, we need to find somebody who has walked the path to help us figure it out. So I love that you did that for yourself, and now you're offering it to other people as well. Because one thing that I am very passionate about is learning. Learning, first of all, for myself, and then passing on that knowledge to other people who could use it, because that's kind of how the ecosystem and we make the world go round. So, talking about your acting career, can you tell us a few things that you have done in the past that may surprise us, or the roles that you've played or people that you've worked with in the past?
Oh, well, I live in Europe and I've been here for over 30 years. So I don't know if you would know of some of the people that I've worked with. But let's see. I was just on the Netflix Hallmark Christmas movie, Heidelberg Holiday. I don't know if that's still playing or not, but it was playing up until Christmas for sure. And I was also on the Netflix show Mo, which is an award-winning show. And I've done a lot of independent feature films in the States as well. But some of the bigger things that I've done were also in Europe. So in the bigger names that I've worked with as far as that. But I think that this is often a misconception about actors, just like interior designers, singers. There are the Kelly Worstlers of the world that everybody knows, right? And then there are a lot of other people who are working, making a living. So that's what I do, right? I am a working actor. Doesn't mean I'm famous. It doesn't mean I've worked with 1,000 famous people. It just means I make my living as an actor.
You know what? And we're not all going to be that person, but we're doing what we're doing at our level and making a difference. It may not be as visible. We're all making a difference. In my own little corner here in Seattle, I'm doing the podcast, I'm staging houses, I'm training people to be homesick. But you know what? This is what it's all about. Paying it forward,
Yes.
You know something, you learn something, you find people who want to learn that.
Do you know what,
you make a business out of it too.
Yeah, absolutely. And I just find that so many people, late 40s, early 50s, that's when it kind of happens where they're like, whoa, wait a minute. Is this my life? Is this all? I know so many people, because that's the age I'm at, that are having those questions, having those conversations. And then you get into these existential things like, why am I here? What is the meaning? And I think our passions, and if you don't have a passion, because some people don't, and that's okay. If you don't have a passion, then follow your curiosities, because your curiosities will lead you. You will always be interested because you are literally following what interests you. And they may lead you to that passion. And if not, you are still going to be leading a fulfilling, interesting life. And you can follow those curiosities, by organizing whatever, a workshop, a seminar, a festival, a retreat, whatever that may happen to be, right? Depending on what it is. So I have all sorts of different people that are, participating in Passion Project to Pro when it launches in March. So anywhere from being a furniture refurbisher with the intent of buying forgotten treasures on eBay Marketplace or Facebook Marketplace and turning them into something really spectacular and selling them, to a woman who's interested in cake decorating. So creating these great cakes for kids' birthday parties and for weddings and anniversaries and special occasions. Obviously, actors. There are some actors because, there's a lot of benefits to getting all that free training. And also, what I didn't mention was you can also use these workshops as a way to network with people that you might not have had access to otherwise, because you are literally offering them something of value, money, also a platform to showcase their expertise, and a way to network with other people. And that way it levels the ground. Then you're both at eye level. It's not like me, this little actor, talking to this big time casting director. Now we are just two people who share a passion for the film industry, and we can have normal conversations that have no power in them. There's no power imbalance.
I think that ageism is a big thing. Even if whether you're in corporate 9 to 5, or whether you are in business, or whether you're aspiring, you're a mom trying to get back out from being, after being a stay-at-home mom, ageism is real. But we also have to understand that for me, being at that age, certain age, especially for women, it gives you leverage too, because you have lived a whole life. Yes. And you have a lot of experience on whatever it is that you're bringing from your past, and you have time and nothing to do with it. So for me, I think it's actually an advantage for you to just do. That means you can do literally whatever you want. You have no kids in the house. You have plenty of time. You probably have saved up money from the job that you've done before. You come up with a wealth of experience.
Yes. You can oh my God, you are singing my song. Yes.
You can totally knock it out of the park and give all these 20-year-olds a run for their money in anything that you want to do, because you just have all of that freedom and experience. And I think that for us, for women, for me, it's all about, even if there is no room at the table for you wherever because your age, we are creating and making our own table. Chop down some wood, build some table, and invite other people to join you at that table.
Yes.
That is what it's all about at the end of the day. I want to ask if there's one thing that anyone that is either at that age where they feel like they have completely expired and they feel like there's nothing in this world of business, work, or whatever for them, what is one thought that you would leave them with?
Stop thinking about it and do it. Your big dreams are not inside of your comfort zone. Just start taking those small steps to get outside of it, because every small step you take stretches your comfort zone by that much. And if you just keep taking slow, steady, consistent steps, before you know it, you will have done the thing you were afraid of. And maybe there'll be something else that scares you, but you will have also gained the confidence to know that you can do it.
I love that. So you not only get over that fear, but it builds the confidence to do even more, right?
Yeah.
And so tell people, if somebody wanted to work with you or how they find you, they Act Bold. I know that's your podcast for people who want to become actors. So, and then you also have your Passion Pro project. How do they find you?
Passion Project to Pro, yeah. So you can find me at act-bold.com. My name is Ann Alexander Cedar. I'm really easily Googleable on all of the platforms and all of that. Act Bold is also Act Bold Training. And if your listeners have been like, ooh, maybe I could create an event around something that interests me, and they want to get started with that, I have a free workbook that will literally kickstart your journey into creating events, curating coaches and experts, and creating events and monetizing your passion. So if you want to download that, you can download that at actboldtraining.com/P for passion 2. So actboldtraining.com/P2.
I am going to need that for myself. So I'm going to go download that for me. And anyone who needs that, something to kickstart, how to get started in whatever you want to do, create an action plan for yourself. And this has been a delightful conversation. And thank you. I know it's late to your time in Germany. Thank you for joining me all the way. And yeah, it's a wrap. You've been listening to the Creative Business Mindset podcast. Remember to share, like, and subscribe. Thank you for listening and keep doing all the things. Until next time.